I'm delighted to be here with you this morning, and delighted to be here with my colleague Michael Chan. You know, Michael is probably the smartest guy around the cabinet table, and he is most definitely the funniest guy around the cabinet table. And for both those qualities, we're very grateful. It's wonderful to be here with Michael. It's great to be here with you today. You know, I think if I had not gone the political route, I might very well be sitting with you in the audience. I've had a lot of experience in the not-for-profit sector. I was president of Big Sisters in London before we took over the brothers. I was president of Big Sisters. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club on a capital campaign. I know what motivates you. I know that you are concerned with making your community stronger and the people in your community stronger. So I really want to thank you for that. I want to congratulate the ONN to think that 7 years ago your conference was 25 people, and now look at you. I can tell you that when you come together and speak with one voice, it makes it a lot easier for us in government. You know, I know you're all active in your home communities. You no doubt, I hope, meet with politicians, with elected representatives in your community so they know what you're doing. But when you can come together and speak with one voice, when you create a body that can work directly with government on our shared priorities, it makes our job a lot easier, and it means we can get things done together. So thank you for your commitment to the ONN. I know you all have very busy jobs at home that you're sacrificing today. Those emails are just adding up as you sit here. But thank you for being here. You know the front lines in our communities. You work in with people who are trying to get back on their feet after an event in their life that's knocked them off their feet temporarily. You work with kids to make sure they can be the very best they can be. You work with new Canadians so they can achieve their full potential in their new country. The work you do in the arts community and a range of activities is so important. You really do make Ontario what it is. So, as I say, thank you. You are dedicated to the people of this province, and you're doing a wonderful job for them. So, as you know, I have a new job. I have been relieved of my duties as Minister of Health, although I have to say in my new job, there's lots of overlap with that. The Premier, whom I together spoke here last year, the Premier appointed me, she gave me two jobs, and some don't understand how they go together. I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm President of the Treasury Board. Nobody actually knows what that means, so I'm going to tell you that that's the ministry I'm responsible for government spending. So it's my job to make sure we're getting best value for every dollar that we spend. So it's a big job. It's a particularly big job given the rather nasty deficit that we are fighting. I'll talk more about that. She also appointed me minister responsible for poverty reduction. And though some see that as a conflict, I see them perfectly aligned, because as we get better value for money, we will get better outcomes for people who rely on government. And those often are people living in poverty. So we have set ourselves a goal to balance our books by 2017-18. I'll tell you why that's important. It's important because just like in a household budget, when you live beyond your means, you end up paying interest. And we are now borrowing 10 cents of every dollar that we spend. That is not sustainable. That is not okay. That means we can't spend money on things that matter to everyone in this room because we're spending it on interest. So I, for one, would much rather spend money reducing poverty than paying interest. So that's why we have to do what we're doing, but we're going to do it in a way that reflects our values. As you heard, the grandmothers are in charge. And grandmothers are tough but fair, firm but kind. We will roll up our sleeves and we will get to balance in a way, as I say, that reflects our values. So there's a lot of work to do in that regard. This is not new for us. 2008 was a really brutal year. We launched into the worst recession since the Great Depression. Thousands of people lost their jobs, and we have recovered those jobs and then some, but we're still facing a big deficit as a result of that recession. So we need to find better and smarter ways of doing things. So working alongside with my colleagues, we will be looking at our government spending. We will be reviewing where and how we spend money. But we're not advocating across-the-board cuts, because when you do across-the-board cuts, you cut everything equally, and everything does not deserve to be cut equally. In fact, there are some places where we need to spend more money. So we're going to have to review every program to make sure we're getting best value. And my experience in health has convinced me that we can get better value for money and better outcomes for patients if we're smart and if we're strategic. In fact, I was reminded this morning, my mantra in my old job was, if it's better for patients and it's better value for money, then yes, we can. We have to stop thinking about what does this change mean for my own organization. We have to think about what impact does this change have on the people that I'm here to serve. So as nonprofits, you are going to have to kind of change your mindset a bit, because I know that we're employed by boards, where members represent boards, but your highest responsibility is to the people that you serve, not to your organizations. And that's going to be a tough mind shift change, but it's one we have to do. So I actually think we have a unique opportunity ahead of us. I am delighted that we have 4 years with no threat of an election over those 4 years, so we can actually do the hard work that is required of us. And that's what we are going to do. I see John Stapleton in the crowd. Hello, John. Nice to see you. John, if you don't know John Stapleton, he is a marvelous resource and has worked with me through the development of the first poverty reduction strategy and the second poverty reduction strategy. I confess to you, when the Premier was putting together her cabinet after the election, I said, can I please have poverty reduction back? Because I really want to drive changes to improve the lives of people. We released our second poverty reduction strategy just a couple of weeks ago. I hope you've had a chance to look at it. It's rooted in the understanding that people living in poverty have enormous potential. And often it is poverty itself that is preventing people from achieving that potential. So we've called this strategy Realizing Our Potential. And there are 4 pillars. I'll quickly go over the 4 pillars. The first is our work on reducing child poverty is not complete, not even close to complete. We have to continue to break the cycle of poverty. That's about money, but it's about way more than money too. Everyone would agree that the best thing you can do to break the cycle of poverty is to make sure every child gets a great education in the province. It's about education. So we have every 4 and 5-year-old in the province with access to full-day kindergarten. That makes a great difference for all kids. It makes the greatest difference from kids who are living in challenging circumstances at home. We've increased the Ontario Child Benefit, and we're going to index. When it comes back to education, we're really going to focus on understanding who isn't achieving their potential in school. What groups of people who are not achieving their potential? We know when you look deeply in the data, there is a real achievement gap. We need to close that achievement gap so that all kids can achieve their full potential. Also included in this poverty reduction strategy for kids is a health benefit for children. In our first strategy, we brought dental care to all low-income kids in the province. We will be moving forward to make sure that kids in low-income families also get free prescriptions, free things. Yes, come on, that's worth applause. No parent should ever have to choose between groceries and antibiotics, right? So all kids will have access, kids in low-income families, access to free drugs, free mental health services, free vision care. We're going to have a benefit for children. I'm delighted about that. The second pillar of the strategy is about employment. We know for many people the way out of poverty is through employment, so we're going to double down on the programs that are focused on the most vulnerable to get them into employment. It's where everybody wants to be, if at all possible. The third piece of the poverty reduction strategy that I am delighted that we have chosen to move forward on is we're setting a goal of eliminating homelessness. You know, it's quite simple. You cannot be your best, you cannot achieve your potential if you don't have a place of your own to live. So we are rolling up our sleeves. We understand, and this is where Treasury Board and Poverty Reduction come together, we understand it's actually more expensive for government when people are homeless than when they're housed with the right supports that they need. So this is actually the right thing to do from a human perspective. It's also the right thing to do from a fiscal perspective. So we're going to work with municipalities, work with organizations to make sure that everyone in this province has a place to call home. And the fourth pillar of the strategy is very near and dear to my heart. Something you probably don't know about me is that I actually have a diploma in program and policy evaluation. So I am an evidence junkie. And I don't think we're focused enough on evidence. I don't think we have the capacity to make funding decisions based on evidence. So we are committing in our poverty reduction strategy to really make decisions about what to fund based on evidence. Now I know that not-for-profit organizations are so busy delivering services that they don't have any money left over to build that evidence. So we're creating a local poverty reduction fund where we are going to help build the body of evidence that will allow us to make evidence-informed decisions. This is a big change for the not-for-profit sector. I get that. We will work very, very closely with you to make sure we get this right. But I'll tell you two observations that make me realize that we don't have it right now. One observation comes from executive directors of organizations like yours. And they tell me, I hear time and time again about how much time is spent applying for grants, reporting on grants. I see lots of heads nodding. I hear 70% is a number I frequently hear of the time of an executive director is spent just trying to get the money that they need to deliver service, so they can only put 30% of their time into actually delivering the service. That's not okay. So we need to change that. I also hear about how not-for-profit organizations have to lurch from grant to grant. Because you don't have sustained funding, you can't make the long-term decisions that you need to make. So I think there are ways to make that better. The other thing I hear a lot about is, and as I said, I've got a really strong background in the not-for-profit sector, but we're not collaborating nearly enough. We, as a government, took a good hard look at one neighborhood, and we were able to identify in one neighborhood 60 different government-funded programs operating in that neighborhood without any coordination at all. So it's very hard for us to know what works when there's really not the kind of collaboration and clarity. So my big message to you is keep your eye on the outcomes. Make sure that you, as you do your work, it's not about how many people you served, it's what difference did you make in their lives, and we will be with you as we figure this out. The other message, and it's a strong message, and I delivered it in health, and I will continue to deliver this message. You have to liberate yourself from your loyalty to your organizations. Not totally, But you have to think about what is it that we're doing. Could we do this better if we work with other organizations? Could we do this better if we wrap services that people need around those individuals? Because people who live in poverty need more than just one service. It's never just about mentoring. It's never just about housing. It's never just about tutoring. People who are breaking out of poverty or who are living in poverty and need support need more than one kind of the services you provide. So I'm sending a strong message to you that we'll be looking for collaboration. We'll be looking at organizations to really understand the needs of individuals they serve and wrap services around those people. So there is change coming. I'm not going to pretend there isn't, but I can tell you it's very positive change, and we will work very closely with you. The ONN makes it so much better for us to be able to work with you to make sure we get this right, because people are counting on us to get it right. So thank you for the work you do. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. I'm delighted to be invited to be here with you, and I look forward to continued collaboration with you. Thank you so much.